You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. Welcome to Now Hear This. I'm your host, Chris Spangle. Now Hear This is a conversation with leaders in Indianapolis that are working to improve the lives of Hoosiers. Our goal is to empower you to join in their work and make a difference while informing you about the unseen aspects of life in Indiana. If you miss an episode, you can listen via podcast at nowhearthisindy.com. Today, I have the privilege of speaking to Arianna Cruz, who is the founder of More Magazine, and you can find them at moremagazine.org. Thank you so much for joining me. Tell me, what does More stand for, and what is the magazine?
So MORE stands for Making Opportunities Reachable for Everyone. The magazine was created, and we have the intention of curating content that inspires, educates, and calls people to action through what they learn. And we focus on topics like philanthropy, diversity, inclusion, sustainable living, and conscious shopping/living, as well as philanthropy.
Very good. So how old is the magazine?
It is less than a year old. Our website went live last April, so almost a year ago, and our first issue came out in October.
Okay, so were where did you get the inspiration for starting this?
So volunteering has always been a really big aspect of my life. And so as I was going through school and after I'd graduated, I was like, how am I going to make an impact on my community, and how can I best work towards the greater goal of making tomorrow a brighter and better place to be for everyone, or as many people as I can. And so the magazine was kind of born from that reflection and understanding of what I can do. And I know I am very good at connecting with people and connecting people to other people. And so the magazine was born from that. And so a lot of the contributors are people that I know or people that I've met online and connected with, and kind of bringing them together to create this mission and magazine full of information to share with people.
So let's talk about your circle and some of those contributors. If I get first of all, where do you get it? If I want to, is there a subscription to it? Do you find it at the store? Like how does one come across it?
So right now you can purchase copies from our website, like you mentioned, moremagazine.org. We have a little shop. We're not in any stores right now, and there's no subscription. We are only doing 2 copies a year, or 2 different issues each year right now. So we haven't put in a subscription model yet or anything. It's just by issue right now.
Okay. And so talk about your contributors. Who are some of the folks who contributed in that issue 1?
So the first issue, I honestly had just planned on working with a lot of people from Indianapolis, because that's mainly where my circle is. Obviously with COVID, a lot of things changed. A lot of things got postponed. But it also opened a lot of really amazing doors to connect with people online. So a lot of the contributors of this first issue are Indianapolis based. I worked with some amazing photographers like Arianna Woolcock. She's a photographer mainly in Fountain Square. I worked with Lila Breton. She's a wedding dress and couture designer in Indianapolis. Amazing work. And then I also got to work with women across the country. So I worked with In Kind Boxes. Maria is the owner of that nonprofit, and they put together boxes for new moms as well as new moms in need. So that's really amazing. And then I also got to meet with Haley Westbury of Texas, who did a lot of our graphic design of the posters in issue, as well as our logo design. Right.
So this is an awesome idea. And like you said, you launch in April. I mean, when COVID hits, I've started a lot of different media channels, and magazines to me seem like the most intimidating because there's a lot you're managing a lot of contributors. You've got to find printers. You've got to find all kinds of different things. There's so much that goes into a magazine. I mean, why a magazine? Let's start there, and then I'll ask the next question that I want to ask.
Well, I never really knew exactly what I wanted to do after graduating. I knew I wanted to work with a company who was working to make a difference and had an impact on their community. And I also have a very creative side. I used to model. I love design. I love the creative direction that comes with this. And so I had kind of narrowed it down to someday I hope to work for a magazine that is focused on issues that are really important and deeper than like what bag to buy for your spring closet or
Right.
whatever. And I was thinking about it, and I saw this really amazing video from Girls, Girls, Girls on Instagram. I think they're also a magazine as well, but I mainly see them on social. And it came out during Women's History Month, and I was like, this is amazing. It talks a lot about women and a lot of the juxtapositions that we have with us, with like, don't wear makeup, but like also be natural, but also why don't you look more glamorous? And I was like, I really want to do something focused on this. And so as I was talking with a photographer, I was just going to do like a styled set for that, inspired by that. But then I was like, there is so much going on that I want to talk more about and share, like shed more light on it. And so the magazine was kind of came from that, because it's like there's so much to talk about, and there's so many people that I think should be involved, and that ended up loving the idea and wanting to contribute, that a magazine seemed to make the most sense for it. And I totally get what you say, because there is so much that goes into the magazine, and I knew it was going to be a lot, but I had initially planned to only have it be an online magazine. And once it came out, a lot of people wanted that tangible, like reading, feeling it. And so we did end up going to print in October, or not October, December, January, just because there was such a demand for it. And it's been really amazing to see that support right off the bat for it. But yeah, as I work on issue 2, I'm definitely learning along the way and learning how to better manage and organize everything that goes into it.
Well, I admire your courage, because it truly is one of those, it's a truly monumental task. I managed a magazine journal for about 3 issues, and I was just like, man, this is so much work. So I really admire the work that goes into this, and I just think that it is so needed. I think that there are so many issues that kind of fly under the radar that don't necessarily get picked up by maybe the corporate press or corporate magazines, like you mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to pick 1 or 2 articles that appeared in the first one, what has received the best feedback?
It's pretty hard. I know our most read article online has been realizing and understanding my white privilege. That one was, I mean, with last year's events, there was a lot of conversation about it. And a lot of the articles are made for conversation, and it's made to educate. I feel like when we face certain issues or problems in our communities and in our lives, it can be faced with anger, of course, as well as understanding. And I feel like when you bring the understanding and you share, like, I didn't know this either, but here's how I grew from it, people can be much more receptive to also reflecting on themselves and growing as they from their reflection. And so that piece, I mean, it obviously came out when a lot of people were kind of reflecting and listening and talking to one another. Another piece that was also talked about a lot was women in media, or media is a man's world. That one talks about the representation of women and women of color in the entertainment industry. And we talk about how, I think it was last award season, there were no women nominated for like director of the year, or like hardly anything like that. And it's ridiculous. But we talk about how there is a way for us as consumers to create that demand and start to show these big companies like, hey, we want to see more women on the screen in lead roles, and we also want to see more women's names in the credits, and just talking about how we can make that difference, because they have to cater to us at the end of the day, really.
Absolutely. So if folks want to support this, let's say your business, or let's say businesses or organizations want to support your work, do you have partnerships? Do you take advertising? How are you funded?
So we are taking advertisement or advertisers right now. We are working to make meaningful partnerships with brands and businesses and organizations whose values align with ours. So we have more information on the website, and our email inbox is always open to meet and discuss about if you want to do a full page ad with us or boost on our social, as well as we're offering in-article advertisements. All of our articles are read from the beginning to the end, which is really amazing that people want to continue reading it until they finish the article and get the full takeaway from it.
That's great. So, how can people contact you if they want to check out the magazine? Give us a shameless self-promotion here.
You can find us on about any social media platform at @_more magazine, as well as emailing us at hello@moremagazine.org.
Arianna Cruz, who is the founder of More Magazine at moremagazine.org. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Chris. It was great.
It was great to talk to you. It is with regret that I tell you that this is my final airing of Now Hear This. I have greatly enjoyed the last year of talking to nonprofits and helping move us into the podcast space. And hopefully the next host, Gunnar, will continue on with the podcast. It will certainly air on Saturdays and Sundays on the iHeartRadio stations. But I want to thank you so much for being my guest over the past year and learning about nonprofits in Indianapolis. You just heard a tremendous amount of work, especially in a time when it was most deeply needed. And I want to thank all my guests, and I want to thank everybody at iHeart for giving me this opportunity. Feel free to follow me, Chris Spangle, at any social media network or over at chrisspangle.com. Thank you so much for listening, and I truly appreciate your time spent with these nonprofits. We Are Libertarians Plus members enjoy many benefits like exclusive bonus shows like Build the Wall and Ideological Origins, lifetime access to my exclusive private newsletter at chrisspangle.com, early release of episodes with commercial-free shows, and a full feed of the show with 700 more episodes than you can find in the public feed. You'll also get merch and the opportunity to be a guest on the show. Most importantly, Wall Plus members support a new generation of opinion journalists by bringing an independent libertarian perspective to the news. Enjoy these benefits immediately by visiting joinwallplus.com.